Supreme Lord, eternal truth, let us obey thee alone and live according to truth. परमोच प्रभु सत्य नित्य तमेव केवलम अनुवर्तामहि सत्यम अनुजीवम केवलम ओं शांति ही शांति ही शांति ही. Good evening, Namaste, Bande Matram, welcome all of you. The topic of this evening's discussion will be on human relation in yoga part 2. Initially, we have discussed part 1 of this topic very interestingly, and I think we will go. It is time for us to go for the part 2. That second part, of course, we will go. Sri Aurobindo quotes here very beautifully. If you want to have knowledge or see all as brothers or have peace, you must think less of yourself. This brotherhood, this universal brotherhood, maybe I will take in my word. The knowledge and see all as brothers or have peace, then you must think less of yourself, your desires, feelings, people's treatment of you, and think more of the divine, living for the divine, not for yourself, if you want to have the knowledge and see all as brothers. Don't be selfish. This selfish motive must be extirpated from the nature. That is the first thing. Live only for the divine, think only for the divine, of the divine, and living for the divine, not for yourself. That is the most requisite in this yoga. Put these things aside and see at peace within the seeking of the divine are the one thing important. These classes being only spooks of the ego. Here the ego classes, for the ego there is class, there is strife, there is tussle. You forget about that ego for this selfishness, selfish motive. Turn yourself in the one direction. For the rest, keep a quiet goodwill to all. So already we know goodwill for all and goodwill from all. That is the basic of the sadhana. Then Sri Aurobindo quotes again, it is to the Divine Mother that you have come for yoga. You have come for this yoga only due to the Divine Mother, not for your old kind of life. You should also regard this as an ashram, where we are staying. This is ashram, about Sri Aurobindo, about ashram. Not as the ordinary sansar, and in your dealings with the others, you strive to conquer anger, self-aggression, pride. You must be conquered. You must strive to. You must have to strive to conquer anger, self-assertion, and the pride. Whatever may be the attitude or behavior towards others, towards you from others, for so long as you keep these moods, you will find it difficult to make progress in your yoga. So only concentration is to be put forward, to be concentrated at the Divine Mother, none else, nothing else. Then Sri Aurobindo of course quotes about the quarrels and classes are the proof of the absence of the yogic poets. If there is some quarrel or class, it indicates the absence of the yogic poets, and those who seriously wish to do yoga must learn to grow out in these things. So it must not happen. These are the deeds of the lower vital. It is easy enough not to clash when there is no cause for strife. There is no cause. There is something simply like it is like an attorney background. You are putting your cloth there on a thorn and you are trying to pulling it and so that it will get turned out. It is not the equity condition. It is when there is a cause and the other side is impossible and unreasonable that one gets the opportunity of rising above one's vital natures. Be silent, be cool, be open to the mother. That is the best opportunity that you are doing. It can be handled very important way. And steer in the course here, so long as they are either of the movements of others is possible. It is only when during the course again very beautiful, nicely this quotation, this line we have to remember again and again. It is only when you get rid of the sentimentalisms and turn all your purified feelings towards the divine. Then what happens that these fluctuations disappear and a calm goodwill to all takes their place. Instead of this ego, that calm goodwill in that place takes its own position. That is the requirement. There are two attitudes that the sadhaka can have. So in the course of the explains of the two attitudes. One, either a quiet equality to all, regardless of their friendship or hostility, and a general goodwill. These are the two conditions. One is a true quiet equality to all, regardless of their friendliness, or second, hostility, or a general goodwill. Don't dwell much on the defects of others. Very oft quoted decision, oft quoted message, of course, this line. Don't dwell much upon the defects of others. It is not helpful. Keep always quiet and peace. It is in the attitude that is requirement. Don't look at others, because you know if you are concentrating much on others, means you are getting out of the track. So suppose you are pointing to somebody's fault in a single finger. Now you are pointing your finger to someone else. That time, out of your five fingers, one finger is pointed to that person for that object. All the other four are pointing straight towards you. That is the problem. Only those who sympathize can help. Everybody can help. Only those who sympathize can help. Surely also one should be able to see and the faults of others without hatred. Hatred injures both parties. It helps not none. Hatred is not at all a helpful attitude. It hurts both the parties. It is no harm in seeing and observing if it is done with the sympathy or impartiality. What is the attitude? It is not considered. It is the tendency unnecessarily to criticize, find fault, condemn others. That is the thing being done here in many times. That creates a bad atmosphere for both of yourself and the others. So, what we have to do here actually, sometimes one has to judge, but it should not be done hastily or in a very censorious spirit. Be normal, be neutral, and judge yourself in an impartial attitude, impartial vision. That is quite helpful for the progress in this sadhana. It is not the question of a ordinary life. In ordinary life, people always judge wrongly because they judge by mental standards and generally by conventional standards. This is the lacuna. This is the normalcy in ordinary life. Human mind and instrument not of the truth but the ignorance and the error. So human mind with the ordinary vision don't try to look, because this is full of errors, erroneous, ignorance, error, and of course it is measuring in the with the in general by conventional standards. Then Sri Aurobindo, it is the petty ego in each that likes to discover and to talk about the real or unreal. Difference is the real or unreal, how to differentiate it. That is the petty ego in finding the defects of the others. And it does not matter whether they are real or unreal. The ego has no right to judge it. This is the problem. It is not you. It is not you. That your ego is judging everything. That should not happen. Ego has no place to judge upon the divine matters or the ordinary find faults in others, because it has not the right view, not the right spirit. The ego lacks the right view and the right spirit. It is only the calm, disinterested, passionate, all compassionate, all loving spirit that can judge and see rightly the strength and weakness of the being. So two aspects are there. One is real and another is unreal. One is strength, another is weakness. That is judged by the human mind or human vital simply as the ego, which is not probably the it has, which lack the right view and the right spirit. So who will then judge and know? That is the spirit. The spirit is here in the quotes about the spirit in a very interesting way, very in a small letter, but actually very he used very powerful words like calm, disinterested, dispassionate, all compassionate, and all loving spirit. It is the real thing, the real master to judge and see rightly the strength and the weakness of each being. Then there have been the quotes about the lower vital. The lower vital takes a mean and petty pleasure in picking out the faults of others. What's wrong? Because if I am seeing the faults in others. That fault is not with the object or anybody I am finding. That object, that fear, that thing that is really in me. So lower vital takes means and petty pleasure in picking out faults in others. Thereby, one hampers both one's own progress and that of the subject of the criticism. Both are getting lagging behind. And then another very interesting was here in the interestingly here in the quotes, a gossiping spirit is always an obstacle. So here in the quotes again and again for the path of this integral yoga, for this sadhana, the again and again it is experienced. So it is has been advised, it has been quoted, it has been explained, it has been defined rather. Talk as less as it is possible, work as much as it is possible. So a gossiping spirit always is an obstacle. So naturally we'll go for the. It is better to be a stone on the road to the divine than soft and weak clay in the muddy paths of the ordinary and the vital human nature. So Sri Ravinda compares in the two ways. It is better to be a stone on the road of the divine. The road is being constructed. It is constructed with stones and big stones, small stones, sandal all. So here in the course, it's better to be a stone on the, the road of divine than soft. Stone means it indicates the hardness. Than weak and soft clay in the muddy paths of the ordinary vital human nature. So we have to be strong enough, and we have to be used in the divine road rather than in this vital path where only some clay of the muddy paths, ordinary life, it is there. Again, Sri has got the very, he has given the very good advice for you. It is not what others think of you that matters, but what you are yourself. You just try to gauge yourself, try to find out your hidden thing, try to experiment and try to see in the naked eye. That is the fundamental thing, what really you are. Even sometimes a malignant, fair, not fair or well-intentioned criticism to be helpful by some aspect of it. One can look at the without being affected by the unfairness. That is the major helpful idea. The idea of helping others, sometimes not sometimes really, sometimes or most times we try to help others here in the course. The idea of helping others is a subtle form of the ego that I am going. So maybe something, some hidden motive is behind the motive. Actually, something, some hidden motive is there. But the idea of helping others is a subtle form of the ego. It is only the divine force that can help. No ordinary human being has the power to help. If something there is there, that is a subtle ego behind it. One can be an of its instrument of the divine Shakti, but you should first learn to be fit and egoless instrument. After being a fit and egoless instrument, there is a possibility with the help of the divine, with the name of the divine, with the power of the divine, with the blessing of the divine, you can go for this help to others in throwing out by throw up and by throwing away your lower subtler form of ego. The idea of helping others is a delusion of the ego. It is a very interesting idea. The idea of helping others is a delusion of the ego. It is only when the mother commissions and gives are force that can one can help, and even when then only within limits. That is what already only have expressed, because divine has sent us to be his instrument. So as the situation permits, as her power permits, as her advice goes, and as with her permission, for with the limited field of the help we can provide to others. Limited field, of course, we can have help to others. But Sri Aurobindo will see it. It must be said that, of course, it is not the anyone that thinks he is helping who is really doing it. Also, the help is accompanied with the exercising an influence. That influence may be of a mixed character and harm, as well as the help of the instrument not pure. So we have to be very critical, very sensible, very watchful while we are going to help others in our attitude. But thing is that the best means